All right, welcome everyone to the first episode of our 5-part Expert Insight series. I'm Bob Ruffolo, founder and CEO of Impact, and I'm honored to be here with our guest, David Meerman Scott. David is a very good friend of mine, marketing strategist, keynote speaker, the founder of Newsjacking, and he wrote the book, The New Rules of Marketing and PR. David, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Bob. Good to be here. I wish I was there with you, and rather than using this technology that I seem to always have trouble with.
Yeah, David and I just spent about 15 minutes trying to get the hang out to work, but we're here and we're excited to get going. So David, why don't you take a couple minutes and tell us about yourself, for those of you who know who you are.
I was a marketing guy, and I've also been a sales guy, and in 2002 I was fired, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do. So I started to write books and give speeches, wrote a blog starting in 2004, got on Twitter right away and when it started, and actually I was a little bit late, 2008, and have spent the last 2002, so that's how many years? 14 years helping people to grow their businesses by online marketing, online public relations, online selling, real-time communications are all passions of mine.
That's great. And when you were on the website Throwdown a few months ago, and I was amazed by all the books that you have in the background there in your office. And,
yeah. I can see them here if you want to. Whole bunch of books. Every single one of the books on this shelf is a book that I have written or been a part of. There's my own books written in the English language. There's my own books that are all translated into other languages. And then there are a whole bunch of books that I've written an endorsement for. So that's my my personal book Hall of Fame.
Love it. Love it. Well, David, I've been honored to see you speak. I saw you speak a couple times at Inbound. I was very lucky to have you come to our office and do a very personal session for our team. And you'll be speaking at our event coming up, which we're really excited about.
As am I. Looking forward to it.
Just in a couple of weeks, Brewing Marketing and Sales Success. And for those of you that don't know what Brewing Marketing and Sales Success is, it's an all-day marketing event hosted by Impact on June 3rd at the Stony Creek Brewery in Branford, Connecticut. David, can you give us a quick overview of what you'll be speaking about?
Yeah. I'm going to be focused on how to create real-time information in the form of things like a blog post, YouTube videos, tweets that can instantly engage an audience. Because what I've noticed is that so many organizations focus exclusively on a campaign mode of marketing and sales and public relations. And there's nothing wrong with doing campaigns. You know, I do it too. You know, I'll plan a blog post for 2 weeks from now. But if you're only doing campaigns, you're missing out. So I'm going to be talking about how to take advantage of what's going on right now in order to reach buyers directly. I'll specifically be spending a little bit of time talking about a concept I've pioneered called newsjacking, which is the art and science of injecting your ideas into a breaking news story. And we will have some fun talking about newsjacking, and hopefully if there's an interesting story brewing right at that point, and you got my little brewing there, I hope, Bob, then we can maybe do some real-time newsjacking right then and there, which I've seen done in some of my presentations, and it's always really cool to see people take advantage of the ideas right away.
Exciting. I can't wait to see it. David, when you talk real-time marketing, what do you mean by that?
So what I mean is that getting your audience and your communications and marketing directly into alignment. And what it means is that you want to understand how people are buying, what are they doing right now this second, and then how can you align your business with the ways that people are buying. And what that means in practical purposes is there's people on your website right now. There's people who are using social networks to find products and services like yours right now. How can you engage with them right now? Because now is when they're ready. And the whole idea of real time is essentially acting like a bond trader. My first job was on a bond trading desk, and you can't be a bond trader and work in the financial markets unless you are looking at what is happening right now in the news, in the markets, happening with politics. And it's the same idea. It's understanding what's happening right this second. If someone just downloaded a particular, say, white paper or research report from your site, you can know that right now instantly. What does that mean that you should do? Should you send them some other piece of information? Should you phone them? Should you put them on a particular list? How can you more likely close that account by virtue of knowing that 3 seconds ago they downloaded a particular piece of content or some other action? It also includes this concept of newsjacking we talked about earlier, which is understanding what's going on in the wider world, not just with your organization, but the wider world, and then taking advantage of it by right then and there creating a real-time blog post or doing something that would generate interest.
So real-time marketing, I think we understand what you just said, and I think most of us want to do it, but the hard part is actually doing it and finding the ways to make that happen. What would be one piece of advice or the one thing you would recommend to a company that wants to do more real-time marketing and isn't doing it right now? Maybe one thing they can do to make that change and do it quickly.
Well, it absolutely requires a mindset shift because we as marketers, for as long as there's been marketing, 100 years, 200 years, we as marketers have been operating in campaign mode. We've been thinking about what we're going to do next week, next month, next quarter, the next product launch. So we need to have a mindset shift that says, okay, that's still important. I'm not going to not do that, but I need to totally take advantage of what's happening right now this second and how people are making buying decisions right now this second. So I think that mindset shift is a lot like the way that you need to make a mindset shift if you want to get fit and healthy. You can't just say, I'm going to eat one less piece of pizza this month, and I'm going to maybe jog around my house once, and then I'll be all set because I've done my exercise and limited my diet. You've got to make it a part of your life. You've got to exercise every day or nearly every day. You've got to eat right every day or nearly every day. And that requires a mindset shift. It requires changing your life. I think the same thing's true of developing a real-time marketing strategy. You can't dabble. You've got to go all in, and that requires that you have to have a mindset shift both in yourself and your organization that says, when the time is right, I am going to act.
And one of the things I remember about you being a real-time marketer, as many people say, never be late for a meeting, always be early. You actually have a different philosophy. You say, I'm sorry, if something late breaking is coming out and I need to write a blog article or create content right now, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late for the meeting. I'm going to do that first. And that's part of the philosophy that you're talking about. Yes,
and it's rare that I have to do that. But yes, I've canceled phone calls. I've been late to meetings. When the time is right, I have to put that piece of content out right now, this second. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen every day, not even every week. But the several times a month or the once or twice a week that it happens, it means that you've got to jump right then and right there. The other part of that is that the opportunities will present themselves when you least are least prepared. It will happen at 9 o'clock at night after you've been to the brew pub and had a beer. It'll happen on a weekend. It'll happen on a holiday. It'll happen when the boss is on vacation. It'll happen when you're on vacation. And so you have to be prepared at all times.
You mentioned newsjacking before, and a lot of people have heard the term newsjacking. Can you give an example of maybe somebody that's newsjacked recently and has done it really well?
Yeah, so I'm actually in the process of writing a blog post as we speak, and it wasn't so important that I needed to cancel this call, but
I appreciate that.
We've got I've got a fun example. Talk about meta. I've got an example of somebody who newsjacked something that was originally newsjacked, and now I'm going to actually create a blog post which is newsjacking on top of that. So here's what happened. About a month ago, Donald Trump was giving a speech, and at a point in the speech, he said, If Hillary Clinton were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote. The only thing she's got going is the women's card. So that's what Donald Trump said. The same day, Hillary Clinton jumped in and she said, and so she newsjacked Donald Trump. Donald Trump said something, it made the news, and then Hillary Clinton jumped in to newsjack Donald Trump. And the way she did it is she was also giving a speech, and she said the following: Mr. Trump accused me of playing the woman card. If fighting for women's health care and paid family leave and equal pay is playing the woman's card, then deal me in. Then, a couple of weeks later, on Kickstarter, a guy called Zach created a Kickstarter campaign to sell a deck of women's cards. And it's really cool. The starting point is $25. And I'm just looking at the Kickstarter now. It's called the Women's Cards on Kickstarter. At the moment, it's got 1,885 backers, and he's raised $74,868 with 26 days to go. So here's a guy, a young entrepreneur, who said, well, shoot, let's make some women's cards. And he just, put them together, and he's got all these people backing it. Then he'll go to a printer, have them printed, have them mailed out, and I would imagine make a healthy profit. And here am I in the process as we speak of writing up the blog post, which I'll put on my blog. So I'm newsjacking Zach, who's the newsjacker who newsjacked Hillary, who's the newsjacker who newsjacked Trump.
That's incredible. And I'll make sure we share that in the article that comes out along with this video. So everyone that's watching this can check it out. Well, David, my last question for you, I appreciate your time this morning, but my last question is, why should people make sure they're at Brewing Marketing and Sales Success to see your presentation?
Well, my presentation will be interesting, but the whole day will be interesting. That's one of the reasons why I'm psyched for it. You've put together a wonderful program. You're going to be there. Your colleagues are going to be there. Beer is going to be there.
Sure
so it's going to be a really great event. But if you wanted to get some thoughts about real-time marketing, how to get started, if you wanted to see some fantastic examples of newsjacking and how you might take advantage of newsjacking yourself, it's really important to be there.
I appreciate that. And besides coming to the event and meeting you in person, how do you recommend viewers get in touch with you if they want to connect after this video?
So newsjacking.com is a great place to start if you want more information about the idea of newsjacking. Or you can find me on Twitter at DMScott, DMSCOTT, or just Google my name. I use Meerman, my middle name. My name is David Meerman Scott. I use my middle name Meerman because I'm the only David Meerman Scott in the world. So if you Google that, you get me and nobody else. Because I learned when I first went online and my very first website back in 1998 that there are a hell of a lot of David Scotts out there, and I didn't want to be one of many. I wanted to be one of one. So Google David Meerman Scott, you'll find all sorts of stuff.
Great. David, it's going to be great seeing you in a few weeks, and we'll see you then.
Looking forward to it, Bob.
Thank you so much.
Hey, this is Natalie, and you just heard from one of the many speakers we'll have at Brewing Marketing and Sales Success 2016. We have a great lineup that includes David Meerman Scott, Pete Caputa, Bob Ruffolo, Carl Sakis, Luke Summerfield, Tonda Scipio, and more. The event will be held on June 3rd at Stony Creek Brewery in Branford, Connecticut. After the sessions, we'll break out the beers and you can mingle with the speakers and 150 other marketing professionals just like you. This is one event that you don't want to miss. To get your tickets, go to impactbnd.com/BMSS16. And don't forget to use the promo code EXPERTINSIGHT and you'll get 25% off your ticket. Hope to see you there. Cheers.